If you guys want to take your seats, we're going to get started. We got a lot of seats up front. Ready? So thank you everybody for coming today. I want to say welcome to all of our vets who are here. We're here in your honor. And I want to say welcome to those who have come to attend and participate. I do want to recognize the other officials in attendance. So we have Councilmember Allison Cormack, Councilmember Lydia Koo, Councilmember Pat Burt, and former Mayor Karen Holman. So President Woodrow Wilson made November 11th a holiday. It was originally called Armistice Day, as I'm sure many of you know. And it was really to honor all the heroes that died in World War I. That was the war to end all wars. And we have since expanded November 11th to be Veterans Day, a holiday that recognizes all those who have served and serve in the United States military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. So I'm truly honored to have the ability to speak to you today. I know it's only because I'm mayor that I'm standing up here. My family military ties are weak. My grandfather served in the Air Force, but I never knew him. And I have relatives that fought in the Civil War on both sides, but that's really the extent of my military family background. I've never been in the military. I've never gone to war. I've never had to leave my family for months or years to travel across the world to fight. And so I'm here today, not my role as mayor, but simply as a grateful American to say thank you. So thank you for all you've done, all you've been through. You have honorably served your nation with great distinction, and we can never say thank you enough. So for your service in war and in peace. So I now want to direct your attention to the Palo Alto Honor Guard, who will post the colors. And then I hope you'll join Masako Yokota in singing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does the star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
So I'd like to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Joseph Felter, Colonel, U.S. Army. Joe Felter is a William J. Perry Fellow at the Center for International Security and Cooperation, and he's a research fellow at the Hoover Institute. From 2017 to 2019, he served as the U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Oceania. And there he was the principal advisor for all policy matters pertaining to development and implementation of defense strategies in the region and guiding the DoD engagement with multilateral institutions. At Stanford, Dr. Felter is the director of the Gordian Knot Center for National Security Innovation. He also leads the Hoover Institute Indo-Pacific Security Dialogue, co-directs empirical studies of the Conflict Project, and is co-creator of Hacking for Defense, a defense innovation-focused curriculum taught at more than 50 universities across the country. His previous academic positions include director of West Point's Combating Terrorism Center, assistant professor in the U.S. Military Academy's Department of Social Sciences, and adjunct associate professor at Columbia University's School for International and Public Affairs. His research focuses on addressing politically motivated violence, and he's appeared in a range of top peer-reviewed journals and other academic publications. He's also written several books. He's a former U.S. Army Special Forces and Foreign Area Officer. He served in a variety of special ops and diplomatic assignments across East and Southeast Asia. His combat deployments include Panama with the 75th Ranger Regiment, Iraq with the Joint Special Operations Task Force, and Afghanistan, where he commanded a counterinsurgency advisory team, reporting directly to Generals McChrystal and Petraeus. He's got a bachelor's degree from West Point, a master's in public administration from Harvard's Kennedy School, and a PhD in political science from Stanford University. Not too shabby, I think you'll agree. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Felter.
Well, thanks, Mayor Du Bois. So first of all, I've been in the military for a while and haven't seen a better color guard than that. So I don't know where they are now, but let's give them a round of applause. That was impressive. Masako, did I get Masako? That's the hardest song to sing, as we all know, and you just crush it. You need to be on a football field soon. But that was wonderful. But I guess who I really want to recognize is the reason we're here, and that's all those here who served our country in uniform, you know, active duty, reserve, or guard. And if you could, I'll take the prerogative of being the speaker. Could you just stand up if you've served our country and our veteran? So you're the reason we're here, and you're who are honoring today. Thank you. It's your sacrifices and selfless service that keep our country free and safe, and what we're honoring today. Mayor, I didn't coordinate, so I had a little bit of background on the significance of the day and the history. So I'll summarize that real quickly, but talk about the history, but who are our veterans and the debt we owe them and how we can support them in ways. But again, as the mayor mentioned, we celebrate Veterans Day on November 11th here in the United States. And the significance goes back to the First World War. It was in honor of the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. It signaled the end of that tragic global conflict, right? The war to end all wars. It didn't quite do that, but it was known as Armistice Day. So it originated as Armistice Day and first observed, you know, at the 1-year anniversary of the end of World War II in November 11th, 1919. And it became a national holiday beginning in 1938. Now, Veterans Day is distinct from Memorial Day, which honors American service members who were killed in action in our wars. But Veterans Day pays tribute to and honors all American veterans, living or dead. And it's a day to give special thanks to our living veterans who served our country during peacetime and war. So who are our veterans? You know, where we see some here today. The veterans are know that they've served and protected our country. They come from all walks of life. They're your friends, your neighbors, your co-workers. They bring so much to their communities, including here in Palo Alto. We all know veterans here, and we all respect them greatly. But here's a few facts about America's current veteran population. As of last year, over 18 million living veterans served during at least one war. The greatest generation of the 16 million Americans who served in World War II, there's over 320,000 alive as of last year. 2 million veterans served during the Korean War. 7 million veterans served during the Vietnam War, and 3 million veterans have served in support of the war on terrorism. They come from every state, every demographic, and 9% of our veterans are women. So veterans are in our community. You know, I teach at Stanford just down the road. We have a vibrant student veteran community on campus. Undergrads, they often transfer from community colleges from around the state and around the country. Students are sponsored by the military to attend graduate programs. Ray Powell, I think you're in one of those. Ray I'm just going to dive in, just retired after 35 years of service on Saturday. So let's give him a special shout out, Colonel Powell. And we also have a senior service college fellows, which I may have seen one lurking around here. But veterans from the community have seen their share of sacrifices. When I was here in graduate school in the early 2000s, I met a Ryan McLaughlin, who was attending a PhD program at the same time I was. But he left early before finishing, got his master's degree, and joined the Marines. Did so well in his training that he got his first choice of branches. Dad wanted him to do something like aviation, something a little safer, but he went into the infantry, and sadly he was killed in November 2005 on the Syrian border, trying to save 2 Marines from an IED blast. I met a guy named Chris Tripp Zanetis here before I went to serve in Washington in 2017. He was really active in the veterans community in Palo Alto and on Stanford. He was literally on ground zero in New York during the attacks, and it just inspired him to join the military. And after he graduated from Stanford Law School in 2017, he deployed to Syria with the New York Air National Guard and was sadly killed in a helicopter crash on the Syrian border. There's a great saying by Thucydides that says, a nation that makes a great distinction between its scholars and its warriors will have its laws made by cowards and its wars fought by fools. So we really need our best of us serving, and we really do. If you know veterans, you know they're just cut from the very best of our citizens. So get to know them. They're just remarkable people. We just lost one of our probably greatest local veterans here earlier this year, the late Secretary George Shultz, who passed away in February. I had the great privilege to get to know him over the years, and I often saw him in an environment where he would introduce himself. And this, if he was at a function, he's usually attended by some pretty highbrow folks with a lot of accomplishments, and he would always go last. And the whole room would always try to, either George Shultz, they want to say that the greatest accomplishments they've done and try to, puff themselves up a little bit. But George Shultz, who had 5 cabinet positions, literally helped prevail in the Cold War, supporting President Reagan as our Secretary of State. He would, in every situation, of all the things he could point to, he would kind of stone-faced with his piercing blue eyes just say, George Shultz, Marine. And it says a lot about him and about his respect for his service. But it really shouldn't surprise anyone that someone like George Shultz points to his military service with such pride. There is just no greater act of selfless service than to take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to be willing to lay down your life if need be to carry out that oath. And there's just no greater act of selfless service, of public service. So every service member, and there's many of them here that take that oath when they join the military, they make a commitment and they back it up with their lives. And you don't get to pick where you serve or whether there's going to be war or not. Whether you end up fighting across the Pacific like George Shultz, or standing guard in peacetime, it's out of your control. But when you take that oath, when you say, I'm going to defend this country, even if it means risking my life, that's impressive. And speaking of impressive service, beyond our veterans, I see, I got to meet when I came in, Bob Johnson. Bob, are you here from, where's Bob? Let me just speak to others that protect us through their service beyond the military, and take a speaker's liberty to acknowledge them. Our members of law enforcement, we saw some fire department members here, maybe some first responders. So many other take risks to protect us, just like our veterans do in combat. And in some ways, it's even more challenging. When I was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, I knew I was in a combat zone. I deployed, I was away, it's a year, game on, and then you come home. And then you were home and you were safe. But every day, every night, there are people on duty, like our police and firefighters and others that have to remain vigilant and committed to protecting us all. Every day could be a day that they're going to have to put themselves in harm's way to keep us all safe. So just have an enormous respect for our police and firefighters and other first responders that like our military veterans, serve to protect us all and take whatever risk is necessary. So thank you. And we clap for some veterans. Let's give a round of applause to those police and firefighters, please. So I'd also like to take this opportunity to draw attention to the challenges many of our veterans are facing, and also, that many of our veterans are in need of our support. talk about veteran suicides. It's the second leading cause of death for post 9/11 veterans. 30,000 veterans have committed suicide since 9/11. That's 4 times the deaths suffered in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. This is a real problem. We're currently averaging 20 suicides per day among our military and veteran community. And sadly, this rate is increasing. I would say, from personal experience, our departure from Afghanistan these last couple of months, that's been especially hard on our veteran community. It's really been hard to watch. There's many great charitable organizations you can support that help our veterans in need. I encourage everyone to find a way to support if they're able. Our own Palo Alto Veterans Administration, I don't know if there's anyone here with an association there, but they're incredible. And they're just making such a difference in the lives of so many veterans and their families. So in our own community, this is one of the renowned veterans hospitals in the country, and just doing extraordinary work on so many levels. So George Washington, there's a quote attributed to George Washington, and it goes like this: the willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nation. That's George Washington, 1789. So please support all our veterans in all the ways that you can. And this is not political. Young men and women who serve, they don't get to choose the wars that they fight. Let's hold our political leaders that make those decisions accountable, but let's separate the politics from our wars, from those that called to serve them. They all deserve our unwavering support. Do we have any Vietnam veterans here with us? My father served 2 tours. I just want to say a special thanks to you, because unlike me, when I came back from deployments, people shake my hand saying, thank you for your service, buy me a beer. I understand from watching my dad's experience that wasn't the case, but we appreciate your service and we thank you. And let's give all of you a round of applause. So I'll try to close up here before it starts to rain here. The greatest privilege of my life was to serve our country in uniform. 25 years, rated 10 years shorter than you, but I did my best. Leading America's best in combat, and was just an incredible privilege. I know so many veterans feel the same way about their experience. So when I hear someone well-intended say thank you for your service, I like to say thank you for being worth it. Because the best way to thank a veteran, you thank them for a service, but the best way to thank a veteran for their service is to be good citizens, to be worthy of our veterans' sacrifices. Defending the freedoms we are privileged to enjoy as Americans, it's not a challenge limited to those in the military. We all share that duty and that responsibility. Military service is one way to support this cause, but you don't have to serve in uniform, military, police, firefighter, others, to actively defend our way of life. We can protect the freedoms our veterans fought to preserve overseas by maintaining and safeguarding those same freedoms right here at home. Every citizen can help preserve our freedoms. For example, by voting in elections, helping to address injustices, working to ensure all Americans enjoy the benefits of the freedoms our veterans fought for. So I'll conclude with saying Veterans Day is a day for all Americans. It's a day to remember why our veterans fought, and a day for all of us to recommit to finding our own ways to protect our freedom and the freedoms of our future generations. So thank you all for the chance to be here and honor our veterans today. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Those are inspiring words. So now I'd like to bring up our city manager, Ed Shikata. And as Joe mentioned, we have people here that have served in the military, are serving now, and are also extending their public service through working for the city. Ed.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dr. Felter. Really outstanding thoughts and sharing those with our community. As Mayor pointed out, I just want to take a moment to bring it close to home. And as Dr. Felter pointed out, we've got a number of our city employee family that are veterans. So each year we ask the veterans to self-identify themselves, and we are always respectful of people's interest in their own privacy, so we don't make it compulsory. But we do have a list actually on the poster in the corner there with the list of names of the individuals that we've identified in our city employee family that are veterans. And not surprisingly, as was pointed out, we've got a number of members of our police department that have served, 14, as a matter of fact, the largest representation among our city staff, followed by our fire department. We've got 5 individuals from our fire department that are veterans. In addition, and perhaps somewhat surprisingly, we've got representatives in virtually every department. So I'll just note that our administrative services department, our Office of Emergency Services, Human Resources, Information Technology, Planning and Development Services, and our Public Works Department all have veterans that serve our community, our Palo Alto community, on an ongoing basis. So again, maybe I'll take the speaker's prerogative here and ask them to be recognized with a round of applause for not only their prior service, but their continuing service to our community.
I think we are going to beat the rain. So again, just to wrap things up, I want to say to all the veterans again today that I sincerely thank you again for your service and your sacrifice. And to the audience, thank you for choosing to honor the veterans today and show your support for our heroes past and present. So it's my pleasure to once again introduce Masako Yokota, who will end our program. So thank you.
This song, I'd like to invite everyone to sing along with me.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves so gray, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. Shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. For beautiful, for heroes proved in liberating strife.